Christ, fucking hell, having more issues getting this video started than actually playing this fucking game mode. Right, Covenant Survival on Glacial Ravine. All of our guys playing as Sergeant fucking Forge. Yeah, there is no way. I'm sorry. Yeah, no. Tried to start this video once and realised I hadn't done a mic test to actually make sure that it was working, and so got a couple minutes into the first recording and had to scrap it.
The enemy is building up their defenses.
Supply pad
We will have
complete.
time to prepare.
Then I go to start a second recording and get a phone call. So, third time's a charm.
Turret complete.
I say I am a stubborn fuck, and I will win this. Oh, for fuck. Why the fuck is... Yeah.
Supply pad complete.
No, he's actually killed himself. Okay, or not. How has he done that? Does the AI cheat in this game too?
Turret complete.
He should not be able to do that, right?
Complete.
How does he have the money to do that? Is what I'm asking. Yeah, so I genuinely think that this game mode, just in general, all I'm going to say is there's no way that this is going to not have some sort of balance change.
Flamethrower, fueled and ready. Standing by. Moving up.
Right, okay.
Bring in the fire.
Am I an idiot? Yeah. The fucking second I saw that he was building a reactor first,
Supply pad complete.
you already know it's over. And the same thing for this guy. Getting an early barracks is, I personally think, an absolute necessity. I do not believe that this game mode is possible without building a
Fortress
barracks
upgrade
early.
complete.
Flamethrower, good to go.
But at the same time, there's no point in building a barracks if you can't, if you don't have the supplies to actually produce anything, what's the point?
Under attack. Local units.
So here's the thing that I'm
Reactor
immediately noticing. I think maybe when I dropped the difficulty down to normal
Moving out.
last time, maybe it didn't actually drop down to normal and I've been playing on the harder difficulty this entire time. Yep. This guy is going right after. Let's be honest, he is not surviving that. Which leaves us all alone, which completely negates any reason for playing on a 3v3 map. you know, I wanted to do so because it's going to split the things.
Spartan ready.
So, someone suggested use the siege turrets, and I don't think that these are going to be helpful. And I'll explain in a comment. Very simply, when we tried these in the first video, they could not reach to here. They would not be able to hit this as far as I'm aware. Now, I could be wrong, I fully admit. But when we tried these, their range wasn't, you know, incredibly impressive. And we're not going to get
Turret
to see it.
complete.
But yeah, the thing is, two reactors is a lot, and if we come in here, highly effective against infantry. Okay, in a normal game mode, sorry.
Flashbang. Research.
Yeah, in a normal game mode, that's perfectly fine because the things that you get attacked with are gonna be a mix. Oh, for fuck's sake. I put it here, but you see what I mean? The range isn't actually that long. But yeah, we're already starting to
Repair kit.
was.
Research.
Yeah. Okay.
Napalm adherent. Research.
Okay.
Turret improved. Turret improved.
Sorry. Yeah. You see what I mean, though? We're playing on easy. Just for the record. You know, I get a bit complacent, a bit cocky. Maybe you could make that argument. I will fully admit. But, like, yeah, they're alright. The siege turrets are alright. They're probably doing more damage than
Turret complete.
what's it would, just a regular turret. But at the same time, you know, this is not, when we played the Flood version, it was very, very different. Up until maybe like wave 10 or so, you could completely withstand any attack just by using turrets. Whereas this, you just can't. You don't beat that with turrets. So we're going, give me Blood Gulch, give me Flood Survival. As Cutter, it has defaulted to automatic, as it always does. I am not entirely sure if defaulting to automatic means anything. I am genuinely wondering if the difficulty options just of the base game, I don't know if they actually affect this. And I'm genuinely
The enemy
starting
is
to wonder that.
expanding their
Supply
production
pad
capacity.
complete.
They'll be vulnerable to an
It's-
early attack.
Turret complete.
I am just really not sure. But yeah, anyway, as I was saying with the siege turrets, right? Highly effective against infantry. 2 reactors and 450 supplies. That is
Supply pad
a
complete.
sizable investment for
Turret
something
complete.
that, you know, imagine if to build flamethrowers you had to, you know, have like an air pad or something like that. Imagine if I couldn't just come in here straight away start training flamethrowers. They would just be completely useless. Let's be
Barracks complete.
real. These turrets are,
Ready to burn.
you know, best for the early game because that's the only time that we are going to get attacked by infantry units.
Flamethrower ready, sir. Standing by.
But they just, that is too much
Supply
investment
pad complete.
for any sort of, you know, early game counter.
Marines on the ground, sir.
But you see what I mean? This feels balanced.
Marines ready, sir.
You know, this feels correct.
Flamethrower fueled and ready. Waypoint received.
Whereas the other ones,
Yes, sir. Roger that. Moving.
you know, as I said, I do enjoy this mod. But the other ones do not feel this like this.
Marines reporting for duty. Good to go. Yes,
Supply pad complete.
If this was a
on the way. Marines, hoorah.
what's it called, a 3v3 one,
Moving out.
we'd be dead by now. Sorry, if this was the Covenant one, we'd be dead by now. Let's be real. And this is what I mean. I think that,
Flamethrower on the ground.
you know, when I think about how would you make this mod, I think that what the creator has done and the sort of
Moving up. Give us an
the
order.
reason why it feels unbalanced is I think that
Flamethrower, good to go.
the Covenant and the UNSC ones, I think that
Flamethrower
it's
on the ground.
using the same formulas, right? So whereas this sends a an infection form, I think that the Covenant one, their quote-unquote infection form, is a grunt squad. And I think that that
Waypoint received.
is why,
Reactor claimed.
Orders moving. Yes, sir.
sorry, trying to fucking use words, Christ.
Moving out.
You know what I mean? I think that the game is thinking
Reactor claimed.
that an infection form unit and a grunt squad unit are equivalent. I think that the mod creator maybe has created a formula for how the waves work. You know,
Enemy engagement.
oh shit, no, please don't. Oh well. So I'm gonna have to micro that, take over a bit better. Yeah, I think that the mod author has created an algorithm, whatever, a list of how it works,
Good to go. Roger. Moving.
Fortress
and
upgrade
sort
complete.
of blanket
Turret
applied that
improved.
to everything.
Turret improved.
I don't think that's, you know, an egregious issue, but I think that it causes, you know, this is not equivalent to what we were getting as in the Covenant spot. You know, okay, yeah, they're taking out a few flamethrowers. Yes, okay, it's quite annoying that they're infecting our ship.
Turret complete.
But at the same time, you know, our turrets deal with this. I am not having the same issues with this
Give us an order.
as I did with,
Moving up.
you know, even the 3v3 for the Covenant was harder than this. We get 3 times the actual amount of enemy units attacking us, and yet it's easier because the units
We're going.
are
Vehicle depot complete.
you say it, like these units are just less powerful, and so when you take the same we are going to actually need some of those. Yeah, when you take the sort of same algorithm and apply it to something that is
Marines on the ground, sir.
much different, I think that might be what's causing it. Because, you know, if I'm being honest, if I was a mod developer,
Local units.
Roger that.
I would probably do what I'm theorizing.
Ready?
You know, I would create an algorithm that
3. Hoorah!
makes these waves, and I would just apply that to all of the different factions, right? Asking an independent and, as far as I'm aware, unpaid mod author to go through and painstakingly make 4 completely brand new game modes, each one with its own balancing, it's just not really realistic.
Local units.
Roger, moving. Wolverine.
Please tell me that this is going to be out of range. Yeah? Right, okay, we're alright. Yeah, so I don't know, because realistically, what can you do, right? If I was the mod
New
developer,
blood. Research.
how could I don't want to say fix, but how would I change this to improve it? It would be very easy to say,
Coffee and
go through and balance every single one individually. If the person that was, you know, if this was an official node, if this was something made by, you know, it would be, what's it, 343, wouldn't it? No. Right? Yeah. It would be 343.
RPG. Research.
God, that's embarrassing. 343 makes the new ones, right? And it's Bungie that made the old ones. Yeah, because Bungie made Destiny, right? Which is the one that, you know, that's the game that came after Halo. I think. Don't quote me on that. You see what I mean, though? I am 100% getting complacent. I am not being aggressive enough. I'm doing fucking research.
Medic. Research. Volley. Research.
And we're still not really being punished for that too much. Whereas, if I was that complacent with the Covenant, we'd be dead.
on the ground.
It's just as simple as that. I'm
Flamethrower,
not
fueled and ready.
entirely sure how this game works. Right? I don't know what is and isn't possible to do.
Flamethrower, good to go.
I think that maybe a way to balance it would be to make the AI for this keep it at like the same difficulty level, but make the Covenant and the UNSC ones, you know, see if you can apply that debuff that they get on like easy mode or something. See if you can apply that debuff. I don't know why I did that, because that's mainly our flamethrowers that I just killed. Yeah, see if you can apply that that debuff that the enemies get on a low difficulty, just as a blanket. Maybe that would fix it. The issue that I think is most prevalent is what I talked about in the other Covenant.
Chain gun researched.
It's just kind of in the beginning, you get attacked by a lot of infantry. So realistically, the best thing to do is to, you know, build anti-infantry. But your flamethrowers are hard countered by their anti-infantry. To take out their anti-infantry means to take out the entire wave. But while you're trying to take out the entire wave, you're being attacked by things that are,
Neural implant research.
you know, effective against your units, right? The things that you use to counter the wave counter your counter harder than your counter counters their basic units. That absolute fucking garbled mess that makes no sense or is intelligible in any way, which it fucking isn't. What I'm trying to say is flamethrowers are less effective against the wave. The flamethrowers are less effective against their wave than their wave is effective against flamethrowers. It's like how to phrase it. Jackal kill flamethrower better than flamethrower kill grunt. And one of the big reasons for that is that the jackals have the range advantage. To kill the jackals means you have to go through their entire wave. Also, like, once again, these not really doing much, are they? That's the thing. They're just not very good. The range just isn't long enough. But yeah, to kill their jackals means going through the grunt squads, right? To do that means that you're constantly being attacked by those jackal squads, which are super effective against the only way that you can deal with the grunt squads. I hope that makes some sense. If the jackal squads were I can't think of anything. I don't know much about him. If they were like something else, if they were
canister shell.
No, I can't. I seriously can't think of anything. You know, I'm going through maybe like no, not really, because there are drones in this mod. Yeah, I don't know, but if they were something else, if they were something with the
Gunner, research.
with the range of a flamethrower,
Adherent, research.
if the Jackals didn't have the same range advantage, then it wouldn't have the same issue. Even then, the waves that it sends are far too strong. Even if we didn't, even if our counter wasn't so heavily countered itself,
Deflection plating, research.
I think that it will be too much even then. I think that this is,
Oxide tank.
what the mod author intended the difficulty to be like, where
Grenadier, research.
well, I think that maybe this is a bit easier than what they intended. Obviously, I am 100% putting words in their mouth and could be completely wrong. But I don't think that the difficulty of the Covenant mod, Jesus fucking Christ,
Spartan ready.
I don't think that the difficulty
Piercing shot,
of
research.
the Covenant survival game mode is intended. I think that it just, I don't want to say accidental, but I think it's just, let's say this game mode is a week old. Well, sorry, the Covenant one is a week old.
Spartan, good to go.
So to have
Cobra loaded up.
a wave, a thing that maybe doesn't have the most balanced waves,
Gauss cannon, research.
Fueled and ready.
as I say, it's so new that I can't really be that surprised. It's essentially a beta test, right? This is just a beta version of the mod. It's probably the best way to look at it. Is it kind of annoying that it's not very well balanced? Yes. Do I want to have a 2-hour long video of me throwing my head against the same
All
problem
units.
and making absolutely no progress? Of course not.
On the way.
I want to win. I like playing games and not losing all the time.
All units.
At the same time,
High torque joint, research.
I can't be incredibly mad because it's a beta test, essentially. With like indie devs and stuff, you do kind of have to go like, well, they don't have the same resources that a proper dev team would have. I'm not saying this as trying to be offensive or anything, but if a major game studio released a game that was that unbalanced, I'm trying to think of how to phrase it without sounding like a cunt to the model author. If a final product from a major game studio was that unbalanced,
All units.
I would be like, I want a refund. That's like it's just not balanced. And as I say, I think it's because of the way that it was created. And I'm not gonna sit and judge and say, oh, you should have made it perfectly from the beginning. It's
All units.
the reality of being a mod author. You know, you have an even smaller financial incentive
Enemy engagement.
than like actual indie devs, which is saying something. You know, I mean, if
Fire
indie
base.
devs at least have the financial incentive of, if they publish a game, the game might sell and they can make money from it. Whereas a mod author, yeah, okay, put your Patreon in the description. Notice the whole 3 people that might open the link.
Cyclops, ready.
All units.
Making mods is not profitable. You just can't get into mod development
Field
if you
armory
want
complete.
to be profitable.
Cyclops,
You know, if you
ready for duty.
sort of, it's a good way to get like some experience with game design, 100%. But it's not a way to like even build reputation. Let's be honest. You know, some people will go like, oh, you know, I'm an indie dev. I made this small indie game that, you know,
Show me where.
it's no masterpiece, but it's still,
Air pad. Complete.
you know, it's not the best game ever made, but it still shows my skills
Station
and that
upgrade
sort of stuff.
complete.
I-
Grizzly.
I've
reset.
never heard of someone using, I made mods for a game, as a sort of like bragging point, or like point on your CV. I've never heard of that. Maybe it happens, but I just haven't heard of it myself.
Healing targets.
And so there is very little incentive to make mods
Fortress upgrade
outside
complete.
of just the fact that you like the game.
Turret complete. Reserves. Research.
Actually, now that I think about it,
High torque joint. Research.
not really. I was gonna say, you know, the RimWorld, but I think that's the other way around, isn't it? I think that they're just actual,
Turret
what's it
complete.
called, people, devs from the game, aren't
Supply
they?
pad complete.
But yeah, as I say, there is very little reason to make mods other than you like the game. You can't expect perfection in a beta test from someone who has no financial or career incentive to do what they're doing.
Turret complete. Supply pad complete.
You know, expecting this to be absolutely perfect the first time. That's expecting like a cashier to be able to repair a till if it breaks down. Obviously no one would ever expect that because there's no fucking reason for them to know that.
complete.
And, you know, I've said, oh, I think that All of the Units is the best mod for this game. Even that mod has a lot of issues. You know, it's not stable, it's got a lot of problems, all this shit. And that's to be expected because, once again, they're not being paid for this. They're doing it out of love for the game. And so, I can't seriously say, you know, oh, just individually balance each game mode, because that's a lot of work. I think that that is the best thing that you could do, but I don't think that they will do it.
Hornet here.
Once again, not out of
All units.
malice or anything, but just out of, you know, one.
Hornet, good to go.
And so I'm trying to think, how would I do it myself? And other than trying to apply
All
that
units.
same debuff of the, what's it called? Easy mode. I forget exactly how easy mode works. I think it might make it so that one infantry
Adrenaline
unit
research.
is the same as one enemy anti-infantry unit. So I think that a player-owned marine like
Fire
squad
base ready.
would be the same strength
All units.
as an enemy-controlled flamethrower.
Set me
All
up.
units.
You got
I
it.
think is how that balancing works.
Station upgrade complete.
Maybe.
Cobra ready. New position. Locking down.
All units.
I'll get it.
But yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I can 100% guarantee that the next version of this mod
All units. All units.
will be to change the balancing on at least the Covenant units. I think that maybe this could do with
Your team is victorious.
maybe the Flood one needs to be a bit harder. Dare I say, but definitely the next version is going to be to change this. Because it's just, there is no way that this is intentional. That's the thing. Because I you know, I want to show it again, just to sort of
Supply pad complete.
drive my point home about how different, just at a very fundamental level, these game modes are. Because they're just so much different in terms of the actual. like the units that get sent, right?
Supply pad complete.
We saw that like we could last until like wave 5 without really needing to build units. We could have survived in the Flood one using just turrets for a fair few waves. And we're going to see 100%, even though I'm going to have barracks and I'm going to have a flamethrower
Barracks
squad,
complete.
maybe it's just not going to be enough.
Flamethrower on the ground.
And I can sort of point at what I'm seeing to explain my point a bit better. Like, okay, on its own, a single honor guard is not very intimidating. Yeah, okay, so you see this, right? Our flamethrowers are stuck attacking these mobs while they get sniped off by the anti-infantry. Plus, brutes quite fucking strong, right? When you look at the difference in the power of the units that are being sent, you can't tell me that this is the same as a few infection forms.
Local units.
Because it's nowhere near the same.
Flamethrower fueled and ready.
Supply pad complete.
In one wave, it's taken us like 5, I want to say, flamethrower units, and they've taken out a turret as well. But like, yeah, look,
Good to go.
the last thing we kill is the first thing that we should be attacking.
Flamethrower on the ground.
That's what I mean. It's just,
Flamethrower ready, sir.
it's, yeah.
Flamethrower ready to burn.
And it's the Covenant, right?
Turret complete.
What happens after? They're gonna do this in increasing intensity for a bit. In a wave or two, they're gonna start sending hunters at us. What's the main counter to infantry? What's the main counter to this? Building tanks. I can't build a vehicle depot because the next thing that I'm going to see is just an absolute barrage of hunters.
On the ground.
That's another thing with jackals that are making them much harder than,
Flamethrower.
Fortress upgrade.
I don't want to say
complete.
they should be,
Local unit.
but that are making them extra hard, is that unless they start attacking the base itself, they're going to be out of range of our turrets.
Flamethrower fueled and ready.
Okay, let's look at it from a positive perspective, right? We're doing quite well. We're on,
Good to go.
is this wave 3 or wave 4? I don't know if the wave count in the bottom is what wave this is, or how many waves you can be in.
Supply
I-
pad complete.
Don't actually know.
Flamethrower ready to burn.
But yeah, I mean,
Ready, sir. Flamethrower
you
fueled
see what I
and
mean?
ready.
As I've said quite a few times in this series and just through playing this game in general,
Supply pad complete.
if you can't get to this flag,
Flamethrower
if the distance from where they spawn in to that flag if they die in that distance, you might as well just concede. And we're getting to that point. Yes, okay, there's,
Flamethrower, fueled and ready.
you know, there's the turrets and they're gonna keep us alive. 100%, yeah.
Flamethrower, good to go.
But it's just, yep, now they've got
Marines on the ground, sir.
leader units.
Standing by. Moving. Moving. Marines, good to go.
Which, you know,
Standing by.
how do I deal with that?
Warthog, rolling.
You see, here's what I mean. Look at the amount of hunters.
Flamethrower, ready to burn.
This one wave has more hunters than the flood equivalent had infection forms, right?
Flamethrower.
Local units. Reactor claimed.
Rolling out the carpet.
This
Missile core bomb
This
down.
wave alone is so much more powerful than most of the waves in the entire flood survival mode. Yeah, okay. I could have built turrets differently. I could have, you know, rushed this earlier.
Good to go.
I could have gotten a flame upgrade, whatever, for the turrets. I could have done things slightly differently, but at the same point, we're on wave 5. We're like, what, a quarter of the way to the Scarabs?
Light 'em up.
There's no way that I could get there. If we live this wave in particular,
Flamethrower.
what's going to happen? Because it's not going to get easier. They're not going to have sent, you know, oh, I sent 10 hunters last wave, so this wave I'm only going to send 5. That's not what's going to happen. This isn't going to ease up.
Flamethrower on the
It's
ground.
going to get much harder. If we weather this storm of hunters, then we get a storm of wraiths, which are even harder to deal with what we have been sort of pigeonholed into being, you know, what we have been forced into building. Because what am I going to do? Look at this army. It is all infantry. 30 infantry units. I can't not build flamethrowers. I don't even have the time to build a vehicle then. And so, genuinely, I think that forcing these waves, forcing this mode to be, to have that easy mode debuff on it, is probably the best way to fix this. Right? Yeah, see, we're already getting wraiths. There is no way we deal with that. But just look at that, right? How do you deal with that? And the blunt answer is you just don't. You just don't deal with that. And I think, as I say, easy mode compared to normal mode, I believe is essentially like halving everything, right? Because I think that easy mode makes it so that one of our marine squads versus one of their flamethrower squads is a perfectly even match. Whereas normally it would need 2 marine squads to 1 flamethrower squad, is the rough balancing, you know, damage differences. I think that blanket adding that this would probably be the best way to fix this. Unless it's something, as I say, I don't know how this mod works. I don't know if this is, incredibly involved and takes hours upon hours of coding. Or it could be, like a Factorio mod where to change this, it would just be a case of copy pasting it and changing a few numbers. If that's the case, 100%, these numbers need to be tweaked. I think that, as I say, I'm going off of how, my knowledge of how sort of mod authors usually operate. I'm seeing a lot of hunters, and I'm seeing maybe the hunters are the Covenant version of those Thresher forms, right? Thrasher forms, whatever they're called. Maybe, that's how that bit works, right? What I'm sort of looking at here is this is wave 3 or 4, right? There is a lot of infantry on screen here. And there is one thing missing from the infantry on screen here. And that's fucking infantry. Regular old infantry. Where are the grunt squads? This one blob here, which I will admit I think is 2 waves smushed together. This one blob has more hunters in it than I think the entire mode has grunt squads. Hunters, yes, okay, they are an anti-vehicle unit. But in general, the comparison between Marines and flamethrowers is the best way to think about difficulty because they're roughly the same. Right, a flamethrower more or less is just a Marine that has a vehicle penalty and an infantry bonus. Right, the difference between those two, more or less, is just that one gains extra damage and the other just has baseline. There's no differences in health or the base damage, as far as I'm aware. I could be completely wrong on this. I could be talking out my arse. But I think that a flamethrower and a marine deal the same damage, just that flamethrowers have multipliers, whereas marines don't. I think is how it works. Hunters compared to grunt squads are not the same comparison. Hunters, as far as I'm aware, have a higher base damage and a higher base health than grunt squads. This, on easy mode, would not be the same as a normal mode if you replace these grunt squads with, these hunters with grunt squads, right? They are 2 completely different units, and halving hunters is not the same as replacing them with grunt squads. And that's not even talking about the wraiths, right? what do you do in that situation, realistically? That is too many wraiths. Too many. That on its own, if you replaced, you know, there's 7 hunter squads there, right? If you replaced 5 of them with grunt squads, then I would say that that's maybe an acceptable wave. For this point in the game, I still think that it should maybe be like a wave or two later. If this was a load of grunt squads as the main, with, you know, but backed up by a couple hunters and a single wraith, that I think is what a wave should look like. Sending 10 hunters at a time is not. Or even sending 7 hunters and a wraith at a time it's just too much. I genuinely do not think that this game mode in its current state is possible. The only way that I could see you winning this is if you play on a 3v3 map where the initial, where all of the waves are spread evenly between the 3 players. So I would be getting a third of this, which even then is still fucking strong. You would also have to have it luck out to where the AI can survive against something like this for the 10 minutes that it would take to even get to this point, which, as we saw earlier, is not fucking possible because the AI is shit and it doesn't understand how to deal with this game mode. And so, I'm going to be honest, I think that the best thing to do would be to just change how these waves spawn. I think that the best thing to do is to go in to mess around with the numbers and to make it so that each type of survival has a different table that it draws from to do the waves. I'm making assumptions. I'm fully aware. I am fully aware that I am assuming this is a Covenant interpretation of an algorithm, of the wave spawning algorithm that was designed based on the Flood. I understand that I'm making that assumption. And I hope that that assumption is right. Because maybe the mod author is absolutely insane at this game. Maybe the mod author is like a fucking StarCraft chess master, right? Maybe he is, measuring APM in fucking millions. Because I don't think that this was fully playtested. I think that the Flood version almost certainly was, because it feels very balanced. Maybe a bit too balanced and a bit easy, if if I'm being honest. I don't think that this one was. And I'm just going to come in here and see if I think the same about the UNSC version. Because I'm not sure. I think that we had it quite easy when we played the UNSC survival. It was a 3v3, so we get a third of the wave. I really don't like that.
Complete. Turret complete.
I mean, I don't think that the difficulty should be based on, how many people are playing. I don't agree with that. That's probably, it's sort of hard to, I'm gonna say something, and I know I'm shit at explaining my points, but stick with me, right?
Turret complete.
My biggest criticism about this game mode in particular is not the balancing issue. It's the fact that the waves are not standardized. The waves being dependent, what you get attacked by being dependent on how many people are
Barracks
playing
complete.
is a bigger criticism that I have compared to the rather unbalancedness
Flamethrower,
of
fuel
this
ready.
mod. Because a balance change
Good to go.
is not a fundamental issue. A balance change is a balance change.
Flamethrower, ready to burn.
Supply pad complete.
A balance change is, it's not something that you could crank out in seconds. I don't think that this mod could be rebalanced to be better in,
Running them down.
a matter of seconds. I think that it would probably take a few hours, maybe a day, depending on how the mod is designed. Yeah, even this, man. It's
Supply
because we're out of
pad
turret
complete.
range. Is why.
Flamethrower, ready to burn.
But yeah, I don't think that the issues with balancing are a
Flamethrower
fundamental
ready, sir.
problem. I think that it's, fairly easy to deal with.
Flamethrower on the ground.
Change some of the units, change some of the numbers, and you're done.
Local units.
We're going.
Right, not to dismiss the work that this person has put into making this mod, but it's not, it's not the biggest thing to change.
Fortress upgrade.
Whereas the way that this has been designed, that the fact that it does, that it doesn't scale properly, I think is a bigger issue. Because that's a fundamental part of how this game mode is designed. And I could be wrong, but I think that would be harder to change
Local units.
than a balance change.
Flamethrower, good to go.
I don't know. I would love to be wrong.
Flamethrower ready, sir.
I would love if, reading
Local units.
the update notes for the next patch says, waves now spawn for each player rather than, I don't even know how you describe it at the moment.
Reactor claim.
Flamethrower, good to go.
But I would love if I read, the way that the wave spawn has been changed so that now 3v3 spawns 3 times as much.
Standing by.
Turret
I would
improved.
love to read that. I
Turret
just
improved.
don't know how possible
Marines on the
it actually
outside.
is.
Standing by. Moving. Moving.
Supply pad complete.
And I wish that there was something. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe this is. Maybe this is what I want. Right? I think it's just a tiny bit too early to
Gunner
say.
researched. Local units.
But But this is feeling a lot more balanced, right? This is feeling
Fueled and ready.
Reactor clear.
fairly decent.
Flamethrower, good to go. Grenade out. Warthog, ready to roll. Standing by. Standing by. Moving. Moving.
But yeah, sorry, I got woken up earlier today. Like,
Warthog, roll.
genuinely kind of embarrassing.
Flamethrower on the ground.
Oh shit, okay. Yeah, I had a parcel
Ready, sir.
yesterday, and it took me quite a while to get to the parcel because yesterday I had to unlock 2 doors and I had to turn the alarm on and all that stuff. And our front door, it's a wooden one. You know, not like IKEA wood, but actual, you know, a hard
Local
wooden door.
units.
Because of the
Grenadier,
difference
research.
in
Standing by.
whatever you want to call it, you know, because it's now,
Reporting for duty.
you know, winter, the change in like humidity and moisture levels and shit like that.
Ready, sir.
It always happens where the front door gets a bit gummy, and so
Local units.
Marines, good to go.
Turret
it takes a
improved.
bit of time.
Rolling
This
out
is,
the
I
command
can't
line
even
of
carpet
ordnance.
bomb them.
Marines on the ground, sir.
Yeah, so getting to the front door was really awkward yesterday.
Turret complete.
And when I did, because I'd just woken up, I
Local
wasn't
units.
really thinking at all.
Moving. Warthog, ready
And
to
so instead of like actually talking to the mailman, I just kind of like awkwardly stared at him.
Standing by. Marines ready,
And
sir.
you know, I'd just woken up. I was half naked. And so I just sort of awkwardly stared at this guy. And
Marines on the
you know,
ground, sir.
he asked me something that I really should have replied to. But at the time, my brain just wasn't. We've also completely lost this, by the way. My brain just wasn't working properly, and so hold on. Yeah, I really should have replied to his question. Like, well, not really a question, but like, I forget exactly what he said, but he was like, "Oh, well, I didn't think you were in. I put your parcel down the down by the side gate," and he said something like,
The enemy is building up their
you know,
Supply
"Oh,
defenses.
do you want me
You'll
to
have time
go
to
get it
prepare.
for you?"
Turret complete.
And I was still half asleep, and so I didn't really process what he was asking me. And so I was like, "Oh, parcel side gate," and so I just closed the fucking door because I was like, "Okay, I need to put my shoes on." And so I just shut the door in his
Supply pad
fucking
complete.
face like an absolute
Turret
twat.
complete.
And put my shoes on, and then we kind of do that awkward thing, like, you know, when you say goodbye to someone, but you both end up walking in the same direction anyway, and it's like, oh, I've said goodbye to this person. I don't want to keep talking to them, but it's kind of awkward to walk in the same direction. You know what I mean?
Supply pad complete.
That's kind of what it was like. Because I'd come out and said like, oh no, I'll go get it. Don't worry. And then he walked basically right by the pass. It would have taken him like the time that it took him to sort of understand what the fuck I was doing. You know, by the time he understood like, oh, this guy's just fucking half asleep and retarded. He could have gone, grabbed the parcel, and bought it. And it was like, you know, when I looked back, sort of after he'd left, I was like, gee, what the fuck did I just do? That was cringe, like actual cringe.
Turret complete.
And then this morning, get a parcel delivery again,
Supply
and
pad
it's the fucking
complete.
same guy. And he woke me up this morning as well, because the mailmen normally come pretty early,
Standing by. Moving.
and I normally wake up pretty late, and so
Green. Hoorah. Standing by.
normally the mailmen have to wake me up. And it took me a while to unlock both the doors, deal with all that shit. And he was just standing there. He was just standing outside my door, like,
Turret complete.
he just gave me that look of like, I know you're in the house. Hurry up, I've got other shit to do. I don't want to be waiting here for some fucking half-naked retard who can't get the fucking door. He just gave me such,
Local units.
like, a look of absolute contempt. He looked like he was just absolutely done with my shit, and I felt really bad. It's like, oh, that is
Flamethrower. Good to go.
just complete cringe.
Fortress upgrade complete.
And oh
Flamethrower.
god, I just like the look that he gave me.
Flamethrower on the ground.
Yeah, cringe. And so obviously, as I say, he woke me up. And part of
Local
that
units.
is that
Local units.
in the meantime I'm still kind of half asleep.
Supply
So,
pad complete.
Standing by. Moving.
Maybe not the best
Marines on the ground, sir.
brain
Standing by. Moving.
spot
Moving.
ability to be making comments and judging a mod and giving feedback on it. Maybe not the best time, but
Turret improved.
oh, I hope we
Turret
survive
improved.
this.
Turret improved. Turret improved. Local units. Local units.
Moving.
Sorry, I did tell you to enter that, didn't I? Yeah.
New blood.
Oh, we
Research.
should be alright. Sorry, I want new blood for when those hornets
Reactor
come
claim.
again, because that was quite a lot. And I think that once again, that's a
Standing by.
how do you sort of describe it?
Flamethrower.
I think that
Local
that's
units.
another
Moving.
sign that this mod, this game mode was based around. No, sorry. These first, please. Yeah, this game mode being designed around the flood,
Flamethrower. Good to go.
Local
and then
units.
having that algorithm pasted on to UNSC Covenant forums,
Flamethrower ready.
not having the actual
Moving.
algorithm adjusted properly.
Flamethrower. Ready to
I'm considering demolishing a thingy, one of these. I want a field armory because reserves would be insanely useful.
Ready to go. Where to? Hopping on.
Repair kit. Research.
I think he might just die before I can hijack that. Yeah.
Spartan reporting.
Oh god. Okay.
Where to? Standing by. Spartan, good to go. Where to? He's disarmed. Taking command.
I mean, at best, it takes out a quarter of their offensive force.
Cyclops, prepared.
I don't know if we can actually do that. I think we just need units.
Standing by. Marines ready, sir.
But yeah,
Marines on the ground, sir.
like, God, this is equally as cringeworthy to say as that horrible interaction between me and the postman.
Marines report.
I was considering going back to sleep because it was like a couple hours earlier than I would want to wake up.
Marines good to go. Rolling out the bombing run aborted.
There's no point because carpet bomb, as far as I'm aware, doesn't affect air units. If we were Halsey and could just cryo bomb this, take out all of those, would be great, but we're not, so. But yeah, been messing around with the Bing AI recently,
Marines on the ground, sir.
and it's pretty good. And my decision making,
Marines reporting for duty.
and like this is like incredible cringe.
Regenerate healing target.
My decision making this morning was like, oh, fuck going back to sleep. I'll just, I'll wake up and I'll mess around with that AI key. I was like, oh, surely the daily recharge limit
Here it comes.
has hit in and I can, be allowed to use it again, right? My fucking thought process. And no, is the answer.
Cyclops ready to crush.
I'm not.
Marines reporting for duty.
Turret complete.
Marines good to go. Standing by. Fire in the hole. Cyclops ready.
Yeah, I think we're dead again. So, my, what do you say, like,
Marines on the ground, sir.
advice? Constructive criticism,
Barracks.
of this mod.
Marines
Way too much air and vehicle stuff. This is too much. Half of these, at least, should be warthogs at most. These hornets should be marine squads, right? You know, the way that you would do it ideally is have like an algorithm, and each one of these is worth a certain point. I am just describing how RimWorld works. RimWorld raids work. RimWorld. Because the issue is that the units for each sort of faction, right? They're not equivalent. a Scorpion is not the same as a Wraith. And I think that the way that this mod spawning works, that it just takes into account, it's a bit like if I trained an AI to play this very crudely. Um, if I designed an AI to do what I do, build supply pad, build a barracks, um, you know, left thumbstick, directly right, spam A 3 times, or however many fucking times, but didn't take into account the actual units, sorry, the faction that you were playing as, right? If I just said 2 supply pads and a barracks, train whatever the center unit is, that would have different effects based on, what you were playing as, right? Sure, they might have the same class, and we've seen in this mod, in this game in particular, this specific game that I'm staring at the end screen of, the difference between Jackal squads and Flamethrower squads. Seeing the quite considerable difference between the two. It becomes even more noticeable when you get to vehicles and air units. Wraiths are just weaker than Scorpions. That's how it is. They cost, 2/3 of what a Scorpion does and are 2/3 as effective. That's just how balancing works. But what I'm seeing here is the same amount of wraiths as I'm seeing. This number of Scorpions is about the same number of wraiths that we saw on the last end screen. Scorpions, once again, are stronger than wraiths. So this is more of an issue than when I looked at the last end screen and said, Jesus fucking Christ, there is no way anyone would be able to deal with those wraiths. This is even more noticeable. Spartans, while they are technically anti-vehicle, they they essentially have the ability to instantly disable a vehicle with a chance to basically one-shot it. There is no way that a Spartan could make it from this base, even if it spawned in, jumped in one of these Hornets straight away, it would get shot down. Before it could even hijack, it would get shot down. And so I think that actually, in this specific situation, hunters would be more efficient. They would be better. Not only are they cheaper, but they could spawn in, get a few shots off. Sure, they might only deal half of a Scorpion's health bar, but 50%, 100% of the time is better. Because, sure, a Spartan could come, and maybe this one down here, if all of the other things were focused on the base itself, could maybe sneak a quick hijack in and stolen one of the units. Hooray! But realistically, this is too much for Spartans to hijack through. And so hunters would be better, but at the same time, playing as the Covenant means that we don't have access to those supply pads instantly. I should probably explain my rationale behind this, because I realise now that I haven't actually explained it at all. The reason why I have been playing exclusively Forge is because early industry is just really important. We've seen that even with the upgraded supply pads, we don't have that, that scaling. We can't get to a point where we have excess resources in the early game, which when it comes to the Covenant one, you absolutely need, because you essentially need a constant supply of flamethrowers to deal with the bullshit that it throws at you. If I was playing as Anders, is it? No. The fuck's the old guy's name? Cutter. It's Captain Cutter, Sergeant Forge, and Professor Anders. I have like 300 hours in this game. Still don't fucking know them. Cutter, right? What do we get? Realistically, the only meaningful upgrade that he has is that a base starts at a max level. That is meaningless to us. We are running into issues with both economy and defense before I filled out the the fifth building pad. UNSC, ODST units. Yes, they are quite good. They are powerful, but there's no way that we're going to get enough supplies, resources, and tech level to be able to build them. So the only thing that he would give for us is saving us 400 supplies. And that's just not good enough. The fact that he would have to upgrade supply pads means that he basically has to commit one of those building pads to being a reactor. Whereas with Forge, I don't have to do that. With Forge, I can just come in, heavy supply pad straight away. It means that I don't have to worry about, having that delayed economy. I don't have to worry about needing a reactor to maximize my supply income. It just frees me up a bit. Anders has the same economy issue, but I think like tier list for the UNSC leaders, I think top tier for this game mode is Forge. I think that second is Anders, and third is Cutter. Having a reduced cost, and most importantly, reduced time for research is really important. But the thing is, for that to take effect, for that to have an impact on the game, you have to have survived long enough to the point where you need research. We already saw that that's not until after a few waves. If we couldn't deal with those first few waves, because we didn't have enough supplies from the lack of heavy supply pads, if we didn't have the ability to deal with those first few waves, even by that point, once we could start spamming out flamethrowers, sorry, what am I trying to say? Right, so you would need, like, the build time to get an equivalent of what. Right, okay, so a heavy supply pad is twice as good. One of these supply pads is equivalent to 2 of the basic ones, right? That means that by the first wave, I have 4 supply pads. If I couldn't build these instantly, I would have 2. It's less about the actual resources that they bring in, and more about the fact that they would take extra time to start doing so. They're both going to end up at the same point, just one's going to take like an extra minute. The issue is, that extra minute, a wave has spawned, you have no resources to train flamethrowers to beat off the wave. Jesus Christ. To defeat the wave. And so you're already starting to get overrun, I think. Prove me wrong. Shit. Covenant Survival, I still stand by, is the hardest one. Let's see. Can I even deal with the first wave? But yeah, another thing that I chose Cutter for is for the Cyclops. In my opinion, most important unit is an engineer. I think that the biggest thing that the Covenant have going for them, aside, it's like a joint thing. The two things that make the Covenant as good as they are in this game is, one, the instant teleport, and 2 is the ability to access engineers. Engineers are incredibly strong. This is a 250 resource investment. With a single one-time payment of another 250 resources, I can keep this alive forever, within reason.
Flamethrower, ready to burn.
Turret complete.
Flamethrower, fueled and ready.
Yeah, essentially, it's a way of,
Good to go.
keeping your resources,
Yes, sir.
just getting more value out of them.
Flamethrower on the ground.
sure, you might not get, you know, they might die. Shit like that, 100%. But having the ability to just say, actually no, I don't want this turret to die, is quite powerful. Don't get me wrong. UNSC, I don't like this. For one, I don't like the hitbox on it, because it's a bit confusing.
Supply pad complete.
Let's go grab the reactor, try and upgrade these. I just, I don't think.
Ready, sir. Standing by. Moving. Flamethrower, ready to burn.
I'm also sort of confused as to how this guy's in range.
On the ground. Standing by. Moving. Moving.
But yeah, I mean, it's.
Good to go.
I don't think that this
Flamethrower ready, sir.
game mode is, you know, plausible.
Local units.
Flamethrower on the ground.
I just don't think that in its current balanced state that it's possible to beat
Ready
this.
to burn.
I would love to be wrong.
Flamethrower. You
Actually, no, I wouldn't.
standing by.
Local units.
Sir, standing by. Moving.
So my recording software, as I say in other videos, I am not a YouTuber.
Marines, hoorah! Standing by.
I have
Moving.
zero interest in trying.
Marines, good to go.
You know,
Standing by.
I'm not gonna make any illusion that, oh, I'm gonna be a famous YouTuber, I'm gonna make money from playing Halo Wars. It's not gonna fucking happen.
Standing by. Moving.
I have zero interest in editing or anything like that.
Flamethrower on the ground.
That also extends to my recording methods.
Local units.
My current recording software, yeah, okay, I've got OBS installed. I don't use it,
Plane.
Flamethrower
but the simple reason of, can't be fucking arsed. Well, I've got to open an application, cringe.
good to go.
I'm using Windows Game Bar, or whatever it's called.
Flamethrower on the ground.
It's just a thing that I think is like
Supply
default
pad
into every computer or something.
Ready to burn.
I don't really know.
Local units.
Moving.
But it has a time limit on it. You can record as much as you want, but you have to do it in 2-hour segments.
Local units.
You can't record anything longer than 2 hours
Flamethrower
at a time.
ready.
It takes half an hour to get to the Scarabs, you know, to quote unquote win. I started this at a bit over 1.5 hours.
Local units.
So if I do win this one, which, let's be honest, I'm fucking not. Look at that. But yeah, if I did win, the video would cut off like 2 or 3 minutes. It would be like one wave until the Scarabs started spawning in, which would be the biggest blue ball and it doesn't matter because once again, I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna do something very brave and adventurous. I'm gonna start off with 2 supply pads and build a barrack. What a fucking thought. You get a fucking drink.
Supply pad complete.
One thing that I will say, though, now that I think about it, in a bit more, now that I've explored the option in practice, not just in theory,
Supply pad complete.
to get this supply pad, no, I don't think it really matters because there. I was gonna say because they cost less,
Barracks complete.
you can get them placed down quicker. But I just don't think that really made a difference, to be perfectly honest. So we're gonna do the most original opening of
Standing by.
building 3 flamethrowers and 2 turrets. Who would have fucking thought?
Flamethrower, fueled and ready.
But here's the interesting part.
Supply pad complete.
We build a second barracks. And we rush for the special terrain features more aggressively. I think I've already fucked it up.
Moving. Flamethrower, good to go. Standing by.
Barracks complete.
Flamethrower, ready to burn. Moving.
Because what I noticed in the last one, we had like 300 resources, and we couldn't fucking spend them.
Ready, sir. Flamethrower, good to go. Moving, moving.
And so I'm sort of thinking, if I do this, maybe the extra troop output will be able to help us.
Ready to burn.
Local units.
Moving.
Maybe it will have absolutely no impact. Maybe it will mean that my economy is going to be so bad, well, it's not the worst, but it's also far from good.
Local units. Local units. Local units.
Flamethrower, good to go.
Turret complete.
But yeah, I was just sort of thinking that the last game,
Flamethrower.
I was, or at least it felt like I was always training a unit, but I still had excess resources. I mean, just look at how good they are at dealing with our flamethrowers. They take out a flamethrower squad before we can even get to attacking them. I know that my
Standing by.
APM, whatever that like,
Fortress upgrade complete.
you know how how StarCraft players measure how good they are. I know that mine is atrocious at the moment, and that I should try harder and be better. But I don't know. I still stand by what I said, in that I simply don't think that this is possible to beat.
Standing by. Moving, moving. Standing by.
So I just don't think that this is properly balanced.
Flamethrower on the ground. Standing by.
And it's a shame, don't get me wrong. You know, I don't want mods to be unbalanced. I want them to be balanced and fun. You know, I have said I do enjoy this game mode.
Local units.
But I mean,
Moving.
Supply pad complete.
it can be kind of hard to enjoy something when
Local units.
When you're,
Reactor
you know,
train.
unable to do anything.
On the ground. Moving. Flamethrower ready, sir.
I guess it's also kind of RNG based, because
Flamethrower ready to burn.
the Prophet is, you know, he's not the weakest, but he is the least defensive of the lead units. The Arbiter and the Brute Chieftain are sort of intended to be, you know, up close and personal.
Flamethrower on
They have the armor and the health to deal with tanking things, whereas the Prophet just doesn't. And so if you get a Prophet spawn, then you're just better off.
Repair kit. Research.
Flamethrower on the ground.
Okay, so I think that this is a better way of doing this.
Flamethrower ready, sir.
I think that this setup is more ideal,
Flamethrower.
Local units. Turret.
but I still think that it is just flat out impossible to actually do this. I think that what's going to happen is, instead of dying to the Hunter spam, I think we're going to die to the Raid spam that comes immediately after it. I am probably going to get a like a survival length record
Turret complete.
for how long I can go
Ready. We're going.
you know what I mean? We're probably gonna get like the longest time
Light 'em up.
survived in this,
Standing by.
you know, in this game mode. Which,
Flamethrower ready, sir.
if I was playing COD Zombies, then
Flamethrower.
I would be happy with, but it's just fundamentally a different thing. You know, there is an end point. There is a
Turret
win,
improved. Turret improved.
In my sight.
and I don't think that we can get to that.
Initial bombs away.
I think that right now wraiths are spawning, and as such, I'm gonna do that. Yeah, there we go.
Flamethrower on the ground. Marines on the ground, sir.
The anti-vehicle turret is attacking the hunters.
Flamethrower
I'm not sure why, or if there is something that I can do to stop that. I attack the thing that you're good against, for fuck's sake.
Standing by. Yes, sir.
Yeah. As I say, we're going to die to the Wraith spam this time instead of the Hunter spam, which...
Ready, sir. Grenade out.
All units.
Standing by. Standing by. Line 'em up.
I mean, it's something to be proud of. Maybe.
Marines reporting for duty. Standing by.
You know, it's kind of something to be proud of in the same way as like, oh, look at this, you know, finger painting my 5-year-old did. It's not really that impressive.
Marines on the ground, sir.
You know, in the grand scheme of things, it's
Cyclops ready to crush.
not impressive at all.
Marines
Okay,
ready, sir.
we're gonna make it a, you know, I don't want to say respectable, but, you know, we're gonna make it further into the Wraith spam than I was expecting.
Marines on the ground, sir.
I thought we'd be dead by now.
Reporting for duty. Grenade. Do it. Marines ready, sir. Marines good to go.
I think that we're about to die. Don't get me wrong.
Marines on the ground, sir.
Because we can't deal with that chieftain.
Marines ready, sir.
Turret complete.
I want to see how good the siege turret is against Wraiths. Oh, it's not even going to target them. Okay, fair enough.
Flamethrower good to go.
But like, yeah. As I say,
Marines reporting for duty.
I don't think that these siege turrets are the difference between winning and losing.
Marines good to go.
Okay, they're decent against Wraiths. Don't get me wrong,
Reporting for duty.
but you know they're starting to pull our base apart. We're losing armor. We've lost the siege turret. Are they good? Yeah, 100%. Are they the difference between winning and losing? I don't think so.
Marines on the ground, sir. Flamethrower fueled and ready.
Yeah.
Reporting for duty. Marines ready, sir.
As I say, I don't think that I need to worry about this video getting to
Marines good to go.
We are once again at that point where units die before they have a chance to attack units. And I've said it before and I will continue to say it because it is the biggest indication of whether you've lost or not. The health bar of your base is meaningless. This is nothing but a timer. If you can't get units out the door, it does not matter if you have, 10,000 health or 20. If you cannot deal with anything like this, if you can't push this back, it doesn't matter how much health. You could have a Covenant base, 7 shield generators, and it would not matter, because if you cannot push this back, it will slowly be torn apart like they have. The thing that killed us is not this base running out of health, but that these units could not deal enough damage.
Here it comes.
nice to them. Yeah, I will revisit this mod when it has a balance change, which hopefully will be soon, because as I've said, I do really enjoy this game mode. I just wish that it was more than just the Flood Survivor one that was playable.